So, I don't know who made the scrapbook. It includes clippings from 1937 to 1953. My uncle, Billy Joe Haney, liked scrapbooks. He made a lot of scrapbooks. But he didn't make this one because he was born in 1931, so I don't think he would have made this one. But it was found in his home after he passed away. So my sister, Barbara Shepherd, has the scrapbook now. And the pages are all loose in it, so I just was able to take a picture of each page. I looked up the date in newspapers.com, and I'm just going to read the names on each page. Okay. On the left side, Piercy Moore, Burford MacArthur, Harvey Kirk, Levon Phillips, A.D. Baxter, Walter Hale, Noah Phillips, W.B. Hampton, Odell Duncan, William Earl Duncan. On the right side, Arthur Elder, Neely Elder, Noel Dyer, Lloyd Dyer, Ben Hooper Dyer, Ernest Eldon Dyer, Little Babb, and James Babb. And those were all in clippings from 1944. So remember, on the dates, they're the dates of the clipping out of the newspaper. Is there anybody on that page that you'd like to say anything about? Brenda?
Little Babb is Joel's uncle.
Oh.
His name is Little Barry Babb.
Little Barry Babb.
He was little when he was born and he never hit 5 feet.
Is that his brother in the picture next to him? James?
No.
No? Okay.
That looks like Philip Babb's spot.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is, right? I mean, he looks just like he did, much
Okay.
older.
Yeah, it's Philip's dad.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And Walter Hale, I know his children. Okay. Roland Hendricks, there were 3 clippings that I found of this particular picture. Wiley Smith, James Horton. The next 2 at the bottom, I don't know, because their names were cut off the page, so I couldn't look them up. So, Miss Sue or Joel, if any of you know who they are, we'll find out so the next time I do the presentation we'll know. On the right side, we have Alfred Evans, Emmett Rogers, C.L. Cooper, and then the bottom picture, U.S. fighting men used the wrecked Japanese powerhouse as hospital in Saipan in 1944. Is there anything you'd like to say about any of those?
So Wiley Smith is the one who planted all the roses in Bemis? Is it that Wiley Smith?
Oh, yeah, that was him.
Okay.
Wiley Smith is the one who planted the roses at the Bemis Museum.
All around everywhere.
Oh, wonderful.
And he also put the ducks in the middle of the place.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And then most of those listed there at the top were either missing in action, wounded, or Corporal Alfred Evans received the Purple Heart.
Emmett Rogers, that name is familiar. Emmett Rogers, that name is familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Friends.
Okay.
No, he's not related to me. He's the Rogers, Hazel Rogers' brother.
Oh, okay.
Okay. William Crowe with Tennessee men and battalion of the 117th Infantry in England. That was in 1944. And then the next picture says, First Yanks Ashore in France. And the clipping was dated June 25th, 1944. And then the 2 clippings at the bottom that do not have a picture on the left side are Jesse Lee Barnes and W.A. West, and then also an article about Mary Henson and Wayman Barker getting married in 1943. On the right side, Mrs. Barry Turner and her son. Now, she was a war bride, but this was a little bit different. Instead of her being over in Europe and coming over here, she lived here and married somebody from the Royal Air Force, and she went to England with her son. Then the next little picture at the top right is Lulu, Bell, and Scotty. I think they were Entertainment Act. And then those two handsome men at the bottom, my daddy, Robert Hardy Haney, and his brother Ernest Haney, Jr. Ernest Jr., everybody called him Fat Man.
He does not look heavy. Why do they call him fat?
He was heavy when he was younger.
Oh,
Yeah, and so now we start getting into the clippings when everybody started getting married, you know. The men were going off to war and they're getting married when they're leaving or coming home on leave or something. So on the left side, we have Maureen Blackwell was marrying Robert Webb. And the next picture is, no, the next clipping, I'm sorry, it's Mrs. U.F. Manus died. Don't have a picture of her. And then Myrtle Tynes and Homer Leon Heffley were engaged. And then the little picture at the bottom left is Reverend Alvin West having a revival. And then the top right, everybody knows, our sweet Miss Opal Granger married Robert Buckingham in 1944. And then Geraldine McKenzie married Ivy Sanders, Jr. And then the bottom picture is Frida Scott married James C. Russell. Anything you'd like to say about any of those folks?
Geraldine worked with my dad at the cotton class in the office for years.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Only one of them was a historical society member. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Selvin Malone Sales, John Gilbert Sales, Cleve Sales, James C. known as Billy Sales, this is 1945. And then Orrin Snellgrove with John Roosevelt. And then the smaller pictures are Orrin Hurdle and Wyler Gaines. Wyler Gaines was related to our member Alex Holton. On the right side, we have Ed Wilson Garrett, Hayden James R. McLaren, John Bruce Brasher, Buford Couples, Frank Stovall, and Robert B. Evans. Any comments on that page?
So, Owen and Fertile worked in the mill, right? Didn't Owen and Fertile work in the mill?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that, or this guy right here is his
Right.
nephew, yes, or grandnephew, maybe. That was, yeah.
May Sharon, and then we have another entertainment group here, Lum and Abner, Radio Comics, 1945. And then the picture on the lower left is Miss Jewel Denning married J.D. Carter, 1943, Jamie's parents. And then the top right, Irene Allen Irving married Daniel Cowler. And the bottom picture is a 50th anniversary picture for Mr. and Mrs. B.I. Turner. Any comments on that page?
Well, we know about John and Joel
Yes.
getting married, and he did so much for the museum. We have lamps in here, and a lot of things that Joel has donated in the museum for them.
He spoke at Bemis Days, and he was hilarious. It was so funny. Just a few years ago, I would have to record it. I'll record it. Edgar Sewell was wounded, and then later he passed away. James O. Greer died of his wounds. James Southern died of his wounds. William Crowley wounded. Aaron Haley received the Purple Heart medal. Lacey T. Lambert Jr. was killed in action. On the right side, J.W. Gore died of his wounds. L.B. Tippett killed in action. R.L. Bell killed in action. Jesse F. Searly killed in action. Valerie Catherine Down married William Riplow, 1944. Fossey Marie Weaver married J.C. Combs. And then the top right, Dorothy Ella Morris married George Harriman. And then there's a picture of Edna Mae Weaver celebrating her second birthday in 1944. names on those people. Mary Catherine Greathouse married Claude Richardson, 1948. Irene O'Neill married Walter L. Head, 1950. And she was from Scotts Hill, so I don't know if he might have been from Bemis or how she got the scrapbook. Dorothy Marie McNabb was engaged to Ernest Price Hutchins, 1949. Anita Mitchell married William Wadley. This was her engagement picture, 1949. And then that cute picture in the top right, my mother and my sister, Rachel Haney, my sister Barbara. This was a Mother's Day picture that the Jackson son had, Mother's Day of 1947. And then the bottom picture is Nancy Rogers married Lamar Phillips. This was her engagement picture, 1952.
That's my cousin.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got somebody.
Yay. Good.
And the Wadleys, we knew the Wadleys forever.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went to school with their children.
Yeah. Inez Mitchell married Gerald Nance, 1942. Dallas Pauline Allison this was her engagement picture to James Miller Price, 1940. And then there's a picture of an unknown man, I don't know who he is. And Rudell Manley and Robert Evans married. And married Jesselyn Irvin, her birth in 1938. On the right side, the picture in the middle, the top, is Bernice Robinson married Neil Sumner, 1942. And the top right picture is Faye Robinson married Thomas Pike Jr. And below her is Fern Winslow married James Lamport. And then there's the picture sort of in the middle at the bottom, Reverend W.M. Greer, the Pentecostal hour on radio, 1943. And then Lillian Dew married Alton Carroll, 1943.
Inez did hair for years and years and years. Did you not know that?
I guess I
Yeah, she did.
know that. So,
Yeah, and let's see, is Reverend Greer, Larry Greer's father?
No.
No,
That's his uncle.
okay, that's his uncle, okay.
Billy Greer is his dad.
Okay.
Billy just died like a few months ago.
Oh,
He
okay.
lived like here on Bemis Lane. Billy did.
Oh,
In Brother Greer's old house,
okay.
Bemis Lane.
C.L. Cooper and Buford Couples. On another slide, I think that they had Burford Couples, so I'm not sure what his correct name is. And then we have Paul B. Woods and W. McKenzie and Howard Moore. On the right side, Alfred W. Evans, Arthur Lee Swafford, William O. Day, and Paul B. Woods.
Going back to W.M. Greer, he spoke when the Historical Society was first started, when we met at the Methodist Church, and we had him on tape. He's one of the best programs we ever had, because he worked for them and pastored the church for like 21 years.
We need to get those changed over so we can watch them here.
W.M. McKenzie, Gene McKenzie, our former
I wondered
treasurer's
about that.
uncle, was his daddy's brother.
Okay, so his picture is like on the
His name
second
is
row,
Wallace.
on the second from the left. Okay, the two together on the top left, Harry Jameson is on the left, and I guess that's his brother, J.P. Jameson. The next two are G.L. Thomason, K.H. Barham, and then the lower picture is Alfred Evans and Lewis Evans. Lewis Evans is Margaret Evans' father. And then the top right, Martha Ann Patton, and then Paul Pratt and Guy Pratt, 1942, Robert Evans, 1944, and George E. Harriman Jr. Do you know any of those people?
George Harriman, I think that's little Josh's brother. You know, Josh Harriman, I think it's his brother.
Okay, the top left, three little sisters of harmony, Jean, Jane, and Joan, 1943.
That was not their real names. I lived on the same street with one of them.
Oh, really?
And Daddy said she changed her name for radio.
Oh.
And they just picked three names that kind of rhyme.
Jean, Jane, and Joan.
Yeah.
And then the group below them, Stamps, Baxter, Southern Melodier, I can't even say it, Melodiers, Louise Wright, Ferris Cravens, Bat Cravens, and Earl Aldrich. And then the articles at the bottom are Irene Wade married Thurman Osborne, Nola Middleton married J.P. Smith, and then Oberlin Smith married Murray Williams. Mr. Williams worked at JVM School, and their children were, Doris was in my class, and then Dr. Larry Williams and Lawrence Williams were their children. So the top right picture is Billy Walker performing on WTJS, which WTJS stood for Lee Jackson's son. And then the other articles and pictures are Danny McLean, Charles Murdoch, and Edgar Sewell. I think Edgar Sewell passed away in the war. Any comments on that page? Okay. Evelyn Rawls was engaged to William Rogers Menzies Jr., 1946. And then the pictures at the bottom, the three ladies, they were honor students at JVM High School in 1947. Marjorie Beers, or Byers, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, how is it, Joel? Byers. Lucille McKnight, and Betty Davis. And that cute little picture in the top right is Leland Richard Hensley's second birthday. And this clipping was 1946. And then Clara Frances Johns was, I'm sorry, I don't know if it was his engagement or wedding picture to Charles Ray McAlexander. I think they might be Bobby McAlexander's parents. I'll have to check with him.
Mother, that Lucille McNaught, is she Penny's sister, Penny Stetson's sister? Is Lucille McNaught.
Penny's sisters, those two McNaught sisters. Thank you. And then here's a cute picture, Valentine from, I don't know how to say her name, Dion Quintuplets, and the doctor who took care of them. And then the bottom picture, they hold sway daily, farm and home hour. This is on WTJS again, 1943. And then the picture on the right is David Bruce Carden, his second birthday, and this clipping was 1949. Isn't that cute?
So those quilts, were they in Bemis?
No.
Oh, okay.
Whoever did the scrapbook just was interested in them, I guess. And you can see by all these pages, they were all just loose out of the book. And then we have the Bemis High School's girls basketball team, 1940. And I have a slide at the end that I can read the names. I have them up. Oh, I'm sorry. Got it right up here, but I put a note, I forgot about it. Front row is LaRue Lindsay, Marie Russell, Naomi Hensley, and Amanda Davis. The middle row is Annie Mae Ware, Annie Mae Morris, Bonnie Lee Austin, and Geneva Jackson. On the back row is Edith Brinkley, Maddie Hensley, Naomi Weaver, Brooksy Nell Butler, and the coach was Harry Hudson.
That's Edith's uniform over there, that blue.
Oh, is it?
That's her white uniform after she graduated from J.B. Young, she could play for the Wild.
Okay.
That's Edith Brinkley's.
I thought that was her sister's uniform. I thought that was her sister's uniform. Jack is the one that donated it, and I thought it was her sister's. Tilly,
No.
I thought it was Tilly's. Anyway, came from that
It's
family.
different.
Okay, all right. And then the picture below that one, I guess whoever made the scrapbook was just interested in this story that this much older married man from North Carolina married a 15-year-old. So they're not from Bemis, they're from North Carolina. And then there's the revival clipping from Reverend Walter Moody, 1944. And then also the top right is Tom Williams, WTJS host, 1943. And then LaRue Lindsay, who's in the basketball picture, married Raymond Doris, 1943.
Wasn't LaRue J.D.'s sister? On the front, at the bottom of the picture of the, did you say LaRue card?
LaRue Lindsay.
No.
Marie James married Robert Mitchell, 1947.
Joel's cousin.
And their children were Bob, Judy,
Janet.
Janet, thank you. I love that picture, I think she was so pretty. And then we have Doris Janice Rogers, married Elmer Eugene Eason. He's probably related to me some way, 1947. And then Patricia Ann Hurst, 5th birthday. So the clipping was 1947. And then the top right is Edna, I don't know how to say that name, Llewellyn, married Kenneth McAlexander, 1947. Emily Ramel, known as Joan Hopper, married Charles Gibbs, 1947. Amy Bell Rawls married Enos Cyrus Thurman Jr. This was her engagement picture, 1943. And then Dorothy Juanita Cornell married Gerald Wayne Johnson, 1945. On the right side, Ruth Naomi Weaver married James Aaron Haley, 1943. He was our shop teacher,
I was
so
gonna ask that, I wondered when you saw that first picture.
Yeah.
So it is him.
I think
Okay.
so.
Okay.
And he received a Purple Heart, or it's in the slideshow somewhere. Imogene Jordan married Robert McCord, 1945. Claude Harris and James Halton met up in Italy, 1944. They just happened to run into each other there. Isn't that wonderful? And then the next group of pictures, they were J.B. Young honor students, Darrell King, Patsy Greenwood, Beatrice Hampton, 1946. And then the little birthday pictures, that's Robert Baxter Evans Jr., his first birthday, 1947, and Sherry Lynn Mills, second birthday, 1946. The top right picture is Mrs. Burt Cole Jr. and her son Ronald for Mother's Day, 1945. And then Vivian Hopper married Leslie Zerafor, 1946. Any comments on that page?
Darrell King is Joel's cousin.
Yeah, he's Reuben King's brother,
Oh, okay.
and Darrell became a doctor
Okay.
with a U.S. Health Department. And Martin Cole up here, I used to trade knives with his daddy on the He had 3 cigar boxes full of knives.
Okay, the top picture. This is the bridal party, the wedding party for Lois Hillard and Joel Woodson Brooks, 1950. And then the picture on the left is Ruby Wilma Bridges, married James Martin, 1946. The little picture in the middle is Bennett Bridges and the Marines, 1942. And then Mrs. Ernest Dyer with Edna Lynn Dyer, which we all know as Eddie. Mother's Day 1946. Eddie Dyer.
I was at that wedding.
Oh,
That's the picture of that wedding.
oh, wow.
They went to the Pentecostal church,
Uh-huh.
and that was, Royce Lescue's wife. She wasn't married, Royce, in that picture.
Right.
It was her second husband. But anyway, I was at that wedding, it was before church on a Sunday morning.
Oh,
Now that Ruby Wilma Bridges that married James Martin, was that the Martins that lived on Young Street and other?
I think they had two sons.
Who you say?
I think that's, they had two sons.
Yes, that's,
I
yes.
think that's who it is.
You do?
I do think it is.
Wilma and James Martin?
Oh.
Yeah, on Young Street, Ronnie, that was our Martins? Okay, yeah, that's it.
And then this is the article published August of 1944, the town that Bemis built. It was reprinted from Northwestern Lower. And then the cute picture on the bottom left is Edna Mae Brinkley, the one that I said I thought maybe that was her uniform, basketball uniform. Also, she goes by Tilly. But Eva Mae Brinkley married Robert Nesbitt in 1946. And the reason why I love that picture is because there's some body that looks just exactly like his dad in that picture. Yes, just like him. And then the small picture in the bottom, in the center, Gordon Finley was missing from home, and then he was just missing here in Jackson, not off in the war, and then he was found dead. Then the lady in the top picture is Carrie Marie Hillard, married Leon Gilmore, 1945, and then Billy Carl Lipford celebrated his first birthday in 1945. It's kind of hard to keep the clippings with the pictures here, so you'll see where I put little blue lines trying to keep them all straight. I'm not sure how to say that person's first name. Shafter White Jr. in the Marines, 1942. Mary Ann Gilman married Shafter White, and I don't know why I have two dates there. Oh, it's probably an engagement and then the wedding picture. And then Helen Duncan married Claude Carl Miller, 41. Ella Wayne Fielding had a new baby with John Hubbard, her husband, and the baby's name was Carolyn Levine, 1942. And on the right side is Francis Busby, married George Scott, in 42. Mary Catherine Rainey and Leland Hensley married in 42. Gladys Marie Mullins married Luther D. Thomas. And Mr. and Mrs. Tillman Warren had a new baby and named him Larry Tillman, 1942.
Now, you were friends with Mary Catherine, right, Mother? Mary Catherine Hensley
Oh,
and
yeah,
Leland?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're the ones I can't ever remember the name. Go past their houses.
Sula Mae Turner married Roy Cecil Millhouse. This is her engagement picture in 1951. Mrs. Raymond Boyd and her daughter Judy on Mother's Day 1952. Judy was the class of 69, I think. And then Evelyn Moss married Jessie Lynn Brown, 1952.
And Sula Mae graduated with Mother.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Good. I know I've heard that name before, but I don't think I knew it.
June Holloway's sister.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's right.
Martha M. Bumpus married James Thomas Hoover. And Louis Laird was shot by John Pipkin in 1941. It's one of those articles there in the middle. And Gertrude Turner married Freeman Martin, 1941. You can learn a lot when you start reading back on old newspaper clippings. That's why David and I like newspapers.com so much. You can go back there and read all kinds of interesting things. Ida Louise Caldwell was engaged to Frank Murdoch. Estelle Crouch married Cleve Mount in 1942. Elmo Brinkley returned from China, 1946. And we have Mrs. Ernest Dyer with both of her children, Andy and Eldon, on Mother's Day, 1952. So I was in school with Eldon. And the picture on the top right is Mrs. Robert Harry James, and her second husband. After her husband passed away, she married my grandfather's half-brother, Raymond Haney. But her maiden name was Helen Sipes. Her brother was the one that was killed, and his plane went down in England. He stayed with the plane. I think there was a malfunction, and he stayed with the plane so he wouldn't hit a school. And the airport here was named after him. I don't know if it still is or not. And then the bottom picture is Mrs. O'Malley with her son Charles, who graduated from Southside in 1964. Estelle Arnold married Warren Tyler, 1946. Mrs. John B. Brasher and her daughter Dee, Mother's Day, 1946. And then a little clipping, we got a picture. Rachel Martin married James Stample, engaged her in 1952. Orville Wood married Billy Raines in 1946. Their children went to Lisa School and then to Southside. And then the picture at the bottom is Betty McKnight and George Edward Norris. Their children also went to Melissa's in Southside. The little girl in the top middle picture is Patsy Hirsch, her third birthday in 1945. And then Betty Dennison married Bill Bryan in 46. And then the lady in the middle with her two little boys, Mrs. Henry Herring with her sons, Henry Harrison Jr. and Bruce Emerson. This was Mother's Day 45. That was Dr. Bruce Herring, the eye doctor.
Your mother Betty McKnight is also Penny's sister, right?
Yeah.
And what about the Orville Raines? Are they the ones that? No, it's not that one. Okay.
But they were from Ashland.
Yeah, I know who they are. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the wedding party for Catherine Jordan and George David Nerin, 1952. And then Gladys Hillard married Billy Gowan in 1946. Their son Dennis was in school with me, and they had Beverly, and I think the younger daughter was Teresa.
Yes, that's right.
And then there's just the clipping there for Nancy Rogers and Lamar Phillips, their engagement announcement, 52. Betty Jean Fisher, Fred Short in 1946. Lucy Lorraine Harriman married Connie Frank Canavan in 47. I think they're probably Milton Canavan's parents.
They lived in Newtown.
Flossie Mae Williams married Robert Burris, and Maureen Johnson married Robert Ryan Wilson in 1946. Mrs. Chester Wilson and her daughter Patricia Ann for Mother's Day 1948. And then we have Mrs. John D. Carden with her son, David Bruce Carden, Mother's Day 1948. Whoever put this scrapbook together must have been good friends with the Cardens. And then another Mother's Day picture, top right, Mrs. E.F. McDaniel and Peggy, 1948. And the lower picture, Mr. and Mrs. Ori Noel Weaver, married 1949.
Who runs the company store?
His daddy, right?
He's dead. Catherine Irene Cavender married Joseph Thomas Woodson Jr. 1948, and then we have the Richardson Quartet on WTJS 1948. Top right is Martha Janice Treadgill, engaged to Hamilton, Washington, 1948. And then we have more J.B. Young High School honor graduates, Kenneth Hamilton, Ava G. Mays, Ray Curtis Young, and Freddie Tosh.
So Ava Wiles now, right? Yeah. That's Ava Wiles now?
Yeah.
Now these pictures, okay, the top one on the left is probably from the Jackson Sun, about Bemis planning their 50-year celebration. But the other pictures are probably from the Bemis story, because they don't look like newspaper clippings.
Mm-hmm.
It's a picture of the steering committee, so I figured that was around 1950. And then the lower left, Katie Moody had a bridal shower. That was probably in the cotton mill. And I figured that was around 1950. And then, this is interesting for our 125th birthday party. Irene Ayers was modeling a Bemis linen dress, cotton cloth manufactured at the Bemis Cotton Mill. I thought that was probably around 1950. So I think that was in this contest they're having. The next picture, the dressmaking contest committee.
They also had that, they put it in to the home ec department, J.B. Young, and, several made dresses for that contest, and I was one of them. But at the time that was going on, my mother passed away, and I missed school for several days, so I just had to rush through it to get it in time to, be judged, and it was a pitiful sight.
So you didn't win the dressmaking contest.
Not even close.
Well, we could have one this year, maybe you'd win. And then here's an article about Dr. Smith and his car that everybody got for him, bought for him. And then Marie Murchison was engaged to Herbert Hillard in 1948. James Edelman was awarded the Bronze Star from Korea in 1951. And Christine Arnold married Johnny Llewellyn. William and Nell Jones, he I guess was the pharmacist, made first class in the U.S. Navy in 1947. Would she have been a Fisher? Nell
Yeah.
Fisher? Okay. And then Susie Ella Gaines married Irving Wallace. In the top right is Virginia Ann Bishop, married James Edward Halton, 1947, and the little girl is Bobby Ruth Aswell, her second birthday. Clippings, 1948. And that's the back cover of the scrapbook. And then I'm going to show you also the picture of, it's a little bit bigger, I think, of the basketball team. So you can see them a little bit better. And that's my Uncle Bill who had the scrapbook. And he graduated from J.B. Young in 1950. So, that's all, folks.